The second SICS English Speech Contest for Elementary School Students. 제2회 SICS 영어 초등 영어 말하기 대회에 오신 여러분들을 환영합니다. So before we start on today's contest, let's start with the opening prayer of Skysam.
하나님 감사합니다. 오늘 초등 스피치 및 시간을 갖게 하신 하나님, 우리 친구들 두렵고 떨리는 마음을 제거해 주시고 담대하게 말하고자 하는 것들을 말할 수 있게 하시며 오늘 참으로 우리가 좋은 시간 될 수 있도록 주님 인도하여 주시옵소서. 감사드립니다. 예수 그리스도의 이름으로 기도드립니다. 아멘.
Before we start the speech contest, let me explain the four basic information for this contest. First of all, your presentation or speech should be within 4 minutes, minimum 1 minute, maximum 4 minutes. 최소 1분에서 4분 동안 각 사람이 발표를 해야 됩니다. And there are 10 assessment criteria. 10개의 평가 항목이 있습니다. The first one is organization of speech structure. 발표 내용, 구조의 구성이 어떻게 잘 되었는지. And second one is correlation between the presentation and the topic. 여러분이 발표하는 내용과 주제가 얼마나 관련이 있는지. Third one is pace, 속도, 말하는 속도. Fourth one is volume, 음량, 얼마나 목소리의 크기가 듣기에 좋았는지. And fifth one is confidence, 자신감 있게 얼마나 발표를 했는지. And next one is pause, 얼마나 잘 끊어서 적절하게 숨을 쉬고 말했는지. And next one is facial expression, 여러분 얼굴이 얼마나 사람들이 보기에 설득력 있는 표정을 지으면서 말을 했는지. And next one is pronunciation, 여러분 발음이 얼마나 정확한지. Gesture, 여러분 손짓 발짓 어떻게 하고 있는지. And grammar, 여러분이 발표한 내용이 얼마나 문법적으로 맞는지. And there is an extra criteria, which is extra point. It's about memorization. We will see how much you memorize your script, and we will give you bonus points from 1 to 10. 1점에서 10점까지 여러분이 얼마나 많이 외웠는지 그 외운 정도에 따라서 점수를 또 하겠습니다. And also, while other speaker do some presentation in front of people, you should pay attention, right? 여러분 다른 사람이 발표할 때는 그 사람이 발표한 내용에 집중을 해주면 좋겠습니다. And also, when each one of you come to the front to do the presentation, you should give a big clap to encourage the speaker. 자, 한 사람씩 나올 때, 퇴장할 때 고생해라, 열심히 해라, 잘해라, 그리고 수고했다라는 박수를 쳐주면 좋을 것 같습니다. Let's talk about award and privileges. The two top scorers will be picked from each class, Oxford and Harvard. 하버드반과 옥스퍼드반에서 가장 고득점자 2명씩이 뽑힐 겁니다. But only 2 students from Harvard class, they are entitled to participate in the 2023 UN GLEC speech contest. 하지만 하버드반에서 최고 득점자 2명의 친구만 전국 영어말하기 대회 학교 대표로 참가하는 자격을 갖게 됩니다. 옥스퍼드와 하버드에서 각각 2명씩이 1등, 2등을 뽑긴 하지만 대회에 나가는 건 하버드반 2학생만 나가게 됩니다. Right, let's start with Oxford class first. So, shall we start? 시작할까요? The first speaker is Timothy Lim. Please come to the front. Let's give a big clap to Timothy.
Hello, I am Timothy. It is happy to do a poster presentation introducing Mars in the solar system. Mars is the first planet from the Sun. Second most minor planet in the solar system after Mercury. That is about half the size of Earth's diameter. The surface of Mars consists of rock and dust. The temperature at the surface of Mars is about -20 Fahrenheit in the afternoon, but it cools to about -180 Fahrenheit before dawn. Interestingly, water exists on Mars as ice caps, and endures as south poles or islands, and as patches of ice beneath its surface. Mars completes one orbit every 687 Earth days, and takes about 24.6 hours to complete one rotation. Mars is the planet I want to visit one day in my life, because Mars is considered the second Earth that God gave to man. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
It is happy to do a photo presentation introducing Venus in the solar system. Venus is the third largest planet in the solar system. Its diameter or distance through its center is about 42,000 miles. Venus is made up mostly of gases, mainly hydrogen and helium. Small amounts of the gas methane give the planet a blue-gray color. Like our planet, Venus has two types of motion, orbit and spin. Venus orbits or travels around the Sun. It takes about 84 Earth years to complete one orbit. In other words, a year on Venus equals about 84 Earth years. Venus spins about its center in an unusual way. It is tilted so that it spins nearly on its side. Also, Venus is one of the few planets in the solar system to spin in a clockwise direction. Most of the planets spin in the opposite direction. Venus completes one rotation in about 13 hours, so a day on Venus lasts about 17 hours. Venus is the planet I want to visit one day in my life because the unusual way that Venus spins nearly on its side has had my interest. I hope you enjoy my presentation. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Hello, I'm Stella. It is happy to do a poster presentation to introduce Saturn to you. Saturn is the second largest planet in the solar system after Jupiter. It is known for its beautiful rings, and Saturn is the sixth planet from the Sun. The inner planet is about 74,900 miles, 9 times larger than Earth's diameter. However, Saturn is very rare for its size and its good flow is placed in water. It is a planet called a gas giant made mostly of hydrogen and helium gases. A system of skinny rings surrounds Saturn. The rings extend thousands of miles out from the planet, and they are made up mostly of hydrogen and helium gases, mostly of pieces of water, ice, and dust. It takes Saturn about 29 Earth years to complete one orbit. In other words, a year on Saturn is about 29 Earth years. It takes the planet less than 11 hours to complete one rotation, and that is the length of a day on Saturn. The planet has 8 major moons and many small ones. Its largest moon is Titan. Saturn is the planet I want to visit one day in my life too, because I would like to see the real Saturn's ice and the rings. Thank you for listening. Bye.
Is Shula O?
I'm Shana, and I'm happy to do a poster presentation and introduce the primary problem. Let's find out with our fascinating facts about the Earth. It is the third planet from the Sun in our solar system. Its name comes from the Earth, English and Germanic words meaning the ground. Like all the planets, Earth orbits around the Sun, and is the Sun at some high speed around 30 kilometers per second. It takes 365 days for the Earth to complete one true orbit. Have you ever wondered why we have different seasons? We'll tell you it's because the Earth is tilted 23.4 degrees on its axis. An imaginary line straight through the middle of the planet from the north to the south. The Earth's diameter measures about 5,800 kilometers, making it the fifth largest planet in the solar system. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune are even more giants. Earth is the only planet in our solar system known to support life, and this is because it has two essential things the living creatures need to survive: natural oxygen and natural water. Its distance from the sun means it's not too hot and not too cold for creatures to live onto. Earth is a present given to us by the Lord to let us live as long as possible. Therefore, we must keep the planet clean and healthy. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Thank you very much. Jupiter. Please come to the front and do your presentation.
Hello, I'm Nathan. It is happy to do a poster presentation to introduce the characteristic location and size of Jupiter to you. Jupiter is the fifth planet from the Sun and the largest in the solar system. The planet was named after the god in the myth of Romance and Greece. It is the third brightest object at night, and you can find Jupiter easily in the sky. Jupiter has 17 moons, which include the 4 large moons discovered by Galileo in 1610. Io, Europa, Ganymede, and Callisto. These are the wives of Jupiter in the myth. Pioneer 10 was the first spacecraft to make its closest approach to Jupiter in December 1973. Jupiter, the planet, is a gas giant surrounded by a ring, and there are black holes and bright zones. Jupiter's atmosphere is about 90% hydrogen and 10% helium. The bright spot is the Sun is a modular picture. That is a giant star. Jupiter's rotation is the fastest in the solar system. Jupiter is the planet I went to visit one day in my life because I would love to see the bright spot of the planet. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Okay, now we can start. So, the first speaker of Harvard class is David Lee.
Hi, I am David. Today I will talk about how the child abuse issue is serious as and suggestion to prevent it. I am going to talk about 3 things in this presentation. First, how to treat child abuse issue in Korean. Second, ways to prevent the issue. Third, punishment. The total number of reports of child abuse in 2021 has increased significantly compared to before the outbreak of COVID-19. Because hidden abuses at home have been revealed as schools and kindergartens that were closed due to the pandemic have been resumed. According to what the Ministry of Health and Welfare wrote in the annual report on child abuse in 2021, for 31 days, there were about 53,932 reports of child abuse, up 27.6% from the previous year. There were 37,605 cases of child abuse during the report. Among them, 557 cases were compared as enrolled students, and 5,437 cases were separated and protected from families. Here are some ways to prevent child abuse. First, a worker in the child caring institution check for bruises or wounds. Second, they have a monthly review for abused children. Third, setting up CCTV in a child abuse suspected house. Let's talk about punishment. First, 4 years imprisonment. Second, a fine of 100 million won. Third, disallowance of child abusers to work in child-related institutions. I hope my suggestion helps society to prevent the child abuse issue. Thank you so much for listening. Bye.
I'm glad to have a chance to talk about the child abuse issue. I'm going to talk about 3 things in this presentation. First, how serious child issue is in Korea. Second, proposing best for child protection. Third, punishment. First, let's talk about how serious child abuse is in Korea. The number of child abuse reports is increasing every year, having nearly tripled from 11,700 in 2015 to 30,000 in 2019. Of these cases, 7.8% involved infants. Even obvious fellow children adopt to abusive language and violence and behave aggressively, such as violence or behave aggressively, such as violence or abuse to others or children. I suggest this for the Prevention Act of Child Abuse. First, strengthening the Child Protection Act and informing people about the seriousness of child abuse through campaigns or activities should be made. Second, there is a way to prevent prevention by putting agents who can conduct fact-finding surveys into homes. Third, child abuse helping care centers lead in creating an environment where they can help children in need. Lastly, here are some punishments. You will be imprisoned for 5 years, and second, then working in child-related places. I hope that the punishment method will strengthen the law much harder and will save fines and life imprisonment so that there will be no more damage to children. Thank you for listening.
Hello, I'm Eunice. It is a great opportunity to share my ideas on the child abuse issue. I'm going to talk about 3 things in this presentation. First, seriousness of child protection law. Second, suggesting 3 bills to tackle child abuse. Third, punishment. First, let's talk about seriousness of child abuse. The problem is a serious crime that must disappear. How children are affected by abusive acts against them. Abused children suffer from depression, post-traumatic stress disorder, loud yelling, and violent behavior. no one around them to rely on. They fall into game addiction, drug addiction, or anger. And the recent adoption of joint child abuse has shocked our society. To prevent this abuse of children, I propose 3 bills. First, CCTV should be mandatory in child care institutions, such as daycare centers and elementary schools, and the government should establish a system for parents to monitor through mobile devices. Second, 1 social worker for every 20 children should be assigned, and 10 minutes of counseling should be conducted daily. Finally, a system that closely manages adopted families for at least 3 years should be prepared to determine the adaptation and abuse of adopted children. Third, punishment. Suppose child care institutions do not have CCTV and allow parents to monitor the institution, imposed along with a suspension of qualifications for more than 3 years. Local governments that violate the act on mandatory counseling for 10 minutes every day by matching 1 social worker per 20 children shall reduce the budget by 10%, excluding the social welfare budgets for the following year. Organizations and families that violate the act on mandatory clause of management for adopted families for more than 3 years can provide institutional safeguards by suspending their qualifications for related work and 10 years of adoption authorization. However, recognizing that children who have been abused are more likely to become other child abusers, there is a limit to the institutional mechanisms of society or the state to discover, treat, and prevent child abuse. These institutional devices are essential, but I think it is more important than anything else to recognize that even the trivial speech and respect to young. Thank you.
Issue is severe and suggestion to prevent it. I am going to talk about 3 things in this presentation. First, seriousness of child abuse issues. Second, 3 years. Last 3, punishment. In 2021, the number of child abuse reports was 52,083. Among them, there were 16,026 cases of overlapping abuse, the highest at 42.6%. The next highest was emotional abuse with 12,351 cases, 32.8%. I suggest 2 approaches to prevent child abuse. First, the government should let parents provide a specialized educational program, and parents must attend 13 program hours. Second, all citizens must be obligated to report child abuse. If the 2 are not complemented with those who commit child abuse should participate in 100 hours of community service. Second, if they don't complete it, they have to pay a fine of 1 million won. Third, imprisonment for 50. My suggestions help society to prevent the child abuse issues. Thank you so much for listening. Goodbye.
Hello, I am Deborah. It is an honor to give a speech in front of you concerning child abuse.
talk about 4 things in this presentation. First, defining child abuse. Second, how serious child issues in Korea. Third, 3 bills against child abuse. Fourth, punishment. Child abuse refers to physical, mental, and sexual violence or abuse that may harm the health and welfare of children or impair normal development by adults, including guardians, and abandonment and neglect by children's guardians. Let's talk about seriousness of child abuse issues. The number 10 to 2020, and the number of deaths from child abuse is increasing every year. The increase in child abuse is due to our society's rapid industrialization and urbanization. Sadly, among child abuse, in more than 80% of cases, the biological father and mother are the perpetrators. In addition, in child care, education centers, and child welfare facility is increasing these days. Here are my proposal of 3 bills to prevent child abuse. Have CCTV at the police station, although the police must come to watch CCTV, or they can watch it at the end of the daycare center under the current law. Second, child location tracking automatically reported to the police when the child is out of the user range of movement. Third, biological parents often cause most child abuse. I want to open a child abuse prevention team that has the authority to force a home visit to check if the 3 bills are violated. Following punishment will be applied to child abusers. First, when it comes to child sexual abuse, is a sex offender. It carries a sentence of 30 years imprisonment. Second, child abuse shall be deprived of custody. In the event of a violation of child abuse, child-related facility, employment, etc. shall be prohibited. We are paying much attention to the child abuse issue, otherwise it becomes a more severe problem in our society. My speech has been safe and healthy. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Hi, I'm Honey. Today I will talk about how the child abuse issue is severe and suggestions to prevent it. I am going to talk about 3 things in this presentation. First, definition of child abuse. Second, talking about how serious child abuse is in Korea. Third, suggesting bills for child protection and punishment. Child abuse includes physical, mental, and sexual violence and broken acts that harm the health or welfare of children and prevent their normal development. Reports of child abuse have risen rapidly since COVID-19. Reports of child abuse were about 10,000 cases in 2015. Otherwise, they are found no more than 100,000 now. My suggestion helps society to prevent the child abuse issue. Thank you so much for listening.
Who is Anana Song?
Today I will talk about the child abuse problem in Korea and how to solve the issue. Here are